Okay, just a little look back at historical visits by the monarchy, and those visits provided some very magical moments for many people in this area. And today's visit will certainly do the same. This is her third visit to Hamilton, and she hasn't been here for a number of years. She was here in '51, '59, and now in 2002. And as you can see again, the crowds at Copps Coliseum anxiously awaiting the Queen's arrival, and with every passing moment she is getting closer on the QEW to her visit here as we take a look inside Copps Coliseum now. And one of the things that the Queen is here to do is to present awards. The Golden Jubilee Award is one which Connie was awarded.
John Amers was very astutely noticing that Connie Smith was wearing her her Golden Jubilee medal.
Connie must be very proud of that.
She
because,
is, justifiably.
In the tradition of Canada 125 medal, the Silver Jubilee medal, and other medals marking great events in our country's history, Connie is one of 38,000 civilians and 8,000 members of the forces who are receiving this honor for having contributed to Canada and to the Canadian society over the last 50 years, or whatever part of them they've been alive of the Queen's reign. It's a lovely way of being inclusive and sharing this Thanksgiving theme of the Royal Homecoming.
And as we look at Connie's medal, you'll be watching something else on the lapel area of Her Majesty herself.
Well, exactly. As you said, the Queen has been here. Her first visit was in 1951. Then Princess Elizabeth. And this is the same year that she became the Colonel-in-Chief of the Argylls. And on becoming Colonel-in-Chief, she was presented with a brooch, a diamond brooch, which is in the shape of our cap badge. And on every occasion, when she's with the Argylls, she has worn this brooch as Colonel-in-Chief. So we will be watching very closely for that.
We do have some shots of the Queen approaching Copps Coliseum now through our Ministry of Transport cameras.
Right. They're traveling just east of Walker's Line now, so they're getting very, very close indeed. And timing seems to be getting pretty close. We're at 2:56 our time, and we're going to stay live right through until 2:30 and talk about all of the things that are happening. A lot of planning has gone in on behalf of the local police department, of course, and on behalf of the Ontario Provincial Police to make sure this motorcade moves along nicely and gets into the city without any kinds of problems. Now, we mentioned earlier that Sheridan Mansour, who works at Sheridan College,
and here at CH,
and here at CH, had an opportunity to meet and talk with the Queen about the program that she was there to see today at Sheridan College, and to, of course, dedicate the new facility there. And I believe Annette is at Sheridan, and I believe Shireen is with her. So let's go back to the college.
It's hard to know which of the two of you today, Annette, is more excited, because I know you've enjoyed this assignment greatly, and Shireen can't wipe the smile off her face.
Yeah, I've never seen you two smile so much. There you go.
At work, right? No. Shireen, you got to tell me what lunch was like with the Queen. Fascinating.
Well, actually, it was a typical Canadian type of lunch, which is really terrific. I actually brought the menu, and we had some shrimp, and there was Ontario beef dish as well. And they also served some wonderful wines from the Niagara region, which, of course, we all know about. And she had a chance to sample some of that. And, you know, we had a couple of Sheridan graduates sing from the theater arts program for the Queen, and it was wonderful. Wonderful.
And you said, you were telling me you actually got to see her eat. You're not supposed to look at her eating, but you saw her eat.
Protocol says you're not supposed to watch the Queen eat, but she did eat, and she did enjoy herself. She sat at a table with the Premier, of course, and Isabel Bassett also sat there, and the President of the college, and they enjoyed a wonderful lunch and conversation, as we could see from other tables.
Yes, and certainly an afternoon that you're not going to forget.
You know, it's one of those things, I never thought I'd be as impressed as I was, but she's a gracious woman. She really is. And it was really evident today that she was enjoying herself at the college.
That's wonderful. We've been enjoying ourselves as well. The throngs of people that were here earlier when she arrived, it was amazing. And I got quite choked up myself. So I'm a huge fan of the royal family, and this was the assignment of a lifetime. So she is on her way back now to Hamilton, where I'm told 17,000 people are there to see him, and we'll head back to Hamilton now as well.
All right, thank you, Annette.
Thanks, Annette.
And Shireen, congratulations. Well done. Well done. Now, I must mention, too, I had the pleasure, when Prince Charles was here, he is the patron of the Canadian Warplane Heritage Museum, and I had the pleasure of meeting him and talking with him when he was here. They truly are amazing people, and when you get a chance to talk to them, not many people do. But
John, you have certainly met many members of the royal family over the years, I imagine.
It has been a fascinating experience, Heather. As long as one remembers that however friendly they are not your friends,
Yes.
They are all our friends in a general sense, of course, but the conversation flows very easily. I was at a table with the Prince of Wales on his last Canadian homecoming, April, a year ago, and to hear that restless, brilliant intelligence, very unconventional in many ways, talking about issues of great concern to him, be it hoof and mouth disease in Britain, be it Australia's place within the Commonwealth, the sorts of nothing that would make news, but just to see the Royals up close is a marvelous experience, and that's why Canadians now enjoy these Royal homecomings so much, because we have walkabouts. We can engage with them. It's not just receiving lines and pomp and circumstance.
And can you speak to the Queen's seemingly new attitude during those walkabouts? And maybe we can bring in, since the death of her mother, since the death of Diana, of course, it seems to be a new Queen who's emerged, a lot more accessible to her fans, and the relationship seems to have changed.
I think so, Heather. You know, like any of our viewers today who have cared for a loved sibling who is dying, or a loved mother who is, you know, gradually at 101 fading, you have a huge concern. It's omnipresent. And not that you do anything but grieve at their deaths, but there is also a sense of release, a sense of coming into your own world fully. And I think the Queen is that much more relaxed and more loved even by her people.
I'm wondering, would you have seen her, for example, drop a puck at a hockey game?
Well, that's a good question.
In the old days.
Many things in this tour have been very different from what they were in 1959, which was a major cross-country tour. Much more emphasis on people, much more emphasis on celebration and popular culture, much less, I mean, in Manitoba the other night, we saw that marvelous concert, the Royal Winnipeg Ballet, the fireworks, the Golden Boy. We didn't have 6 politicians each making 10-minute addresses of welcome, which was very much the pattern of half a century and more ago.
Well, let's go back, if we may, for a few moments and talk about the presentation of the new colors, because a lot of people aren't really familiar with what they are. We know that they're changing a little bit, and they're changing to incorporate the new Canadian flag, which goes back to, you know, the 60s. But what is this flag? What does it represent to the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders, and why is it so important?
Well, colors are flags, and they're, I mean, someone once said they're almost as old as fighting men themselves. They actually had a function at one time in battle as rallying points, so you could identify which side you were on, where to be, and what was strategic. Of course, over the years, that's disappeared. They continued to be carried into battle up until the 1880s, and then that disappeared as well. Although one Canadian, the Princess Patricia's Light Infantry, actually carried theirs into battle during the First World War. What they've come to represent are 2 great symbols for a regiment. One is an important symbol not only for a regiment but for a country, because the so-called Queen's color represents duty and service and allegiance, which is at the heart of a regiment. The second, the regimental color, has our own emblems on it, plus battle honors that were won in either South Africa, First World War, Second World War, Korea, depending on the regiment. So in fact, they come to symbolize, and symbols are important things for all human communities, all that we are as a regiment. And really at the heart of them, when you see the list of battles and battle honors, I mean, for each one of those, there are a large number of men lost. They mentioned earlier 1,800, it's actually closer to 1,500. That's still a lot of people.
A lot of people.
And then when you add the number wounded, you can simply take the number dead and multiply it by 3. That's a pretty significant number of people. So in a sense, the colors then represent everything that you are. And even at the dress rehearsal last night, when they trooped the old color through the ranks for the last time, very, very moving.
Sure.
And especially, you know, most of these kids in the regiment are in their early 20s. Even for them, they start to catch on to that.
It's still important to them. It's the heart and the soul and the history of your regiment all rolled into one flag.
That's right.
Yeah.
Maybe you can talk about why colors are replaced. It's just a function of time, isn't it?
Well, it is a function of time.
Time and wear and tear.
Time and wear and tear. And if you can see the old colors, they are literally falling apart. They're made out of silk. They're housed in the officers' mess in special cabinets, but they're out quite regularly, and they've had their day. So the new color, what we've done in 1959, when the Queen presented us with our 3rd set of colors, the Queen's color, the background for it was the Union flag. We did not have the Canadian flag at that point of time. So at this juncture now in our history, we do, and so the Canadian flag...
Queen's color has changed somewhat.
The Queen's color has changed somewhat. It's now got the Canadian flag as the backdrop.
There is one other significant change, too, in the corners, the representation of Queen Elizabeth.
Well, that's right. On the regimental color, in the past we had in the cipher of Princess Louise, who was our first Colonel-in-Chief.
Now, I have to interrupt because it took me a while to find a cipher is an initial, correct?
That's right.
All of these very particular, specific military terms. So the initial L in the corners.
Well, and it's double L, because
okay.
Louise was married to the Duke
of Lorne.
Marquis of Lorne,
yes.
who became the Duke of Argyll, who was Governor General of Canada, and she spent a fairly significant part of her time in Canada. So what they've done is they've changed it from 4 to 2 for Louise, and now Queen Elizabeth's cipher is in 2 as well.
So there are some changes.
So there are some changes.
Patiently awaiting the arrival of Her Majesty, but I suppose this is nothing new for a regiment to stand at attention.
Stand and wait.
They're watching on the television down there, so we'll say hello to the folks down there.
That's exactly
and she's
right.
going to be along momentarily, we promise. She is en route. We've watched on the MTO cameras coming in.
We certainly have, and we're going to tell you and take you through exactly the procession, the whole special ceremony for the changing of the colors and for the dedication of the Argyll's Pavilion in Bayfront Park, of course.
The dedication of the stones there.
Exactly, and so we'll have all of this for you. We're just running a few minutes behind schedule, which gives us lots of opportunity to talk with our guests, Robert Fraser and John Amers, and joining us from Copps Coliseum, Connie Smith, who's there, and I'm not sure if we're going to be able to see you or not, or just hear you, Connie.
I think you're just going to hear me, Heather, and that might even be difficult. The cheering has begun, the waving of flags. I'm standing here with Max Ballinson, who is 6, and Katie Compton, 10, and they are about to meet the Queen. Max, do you know what you're going to say to the Queen?
No.
Well, he's still thinking about it. And what about you, Katie?
I'm just thinking because I'm not quite sure what she'll say to me.
That's right, because she has to speak to you first, correct?
Right.
And are you going to give a little curtsy or a bow?
I'm going to curtsy.
And this is the bouquet right over here. They're beautiful and fresh and waiting to be presented. Now at the next row here, I have a gentleman who actually has a very special celebration, 50th year celebration himself. This is Roy Cummings from Burlington, who sang for the Queen 50 years ago today, Roy.
Yes, the Queen came to Edinburgh on her tour after the coronation. She dropped into our school, St. Mary's Cathedral Choir School, and we sang a special song for her. And then there was an event in the Usher Hall in Edinburgh called the Masque of Edinburgh, in which we sang again for her. So
you're looking forward to seeing her again?
I am, yes.
Do you think you might get a little royal wave or acknowledgement?
I hope so, yes.
So again, we're just waiting. The cheering is getting louder and louder. You can see the flags. Now, the Copps Coliseum is draped with some 50 banners with the special Canadian Queen's Jubilee Visit insignia. It's a semicircle of fall leaves, which had to have been approved by Buckingham Palace before the Canadian government could go ahead and produce the banners. So we're all decked out, the carpet is laid, the flags are waving, and we're standing by now.
All right, Connie. Thank you very much. Oh, they're doing the wave, the royal wave.
Oh, the royal wave, yeah. Now there are 2 royal waves.
That's right.